Over 360 people left California in 2021, in what many are calling the California Exodus, heading to states such as Texas, Arizona, and Washington. However, an increasing number of them are leaving the country and heading south of the border. Welcome to the Financial Flow. Please like and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up on our latest videos. Today, an increasing number of Americans are leaving the hustle and bustle of California for a more relaxed, cost-effective lifestyle in Mexico. We were able to cut our budget in half, allowing us to focus on our careers and the things we wanted to do artistically, without having to hustle every day, week, and month just to meet the bare minimum. California's population growth has been declining for more than 30 years, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, those trends have accelerated. The ability to work anywhere has prompted 62% of Americans to consider relocating to another country. What are your options? There aren't many options, particularly if you're from California. While some Californians are able to relocate by working remotely, others live in Mexico while commuting to work in California on a daily basis. There are many people commuting who live in Mexico but work in the United States, so it's like thousands of people just walk in every day. There are a lot of people. Many critics, however, argue that Americans are driving up the cost of housing for locals, effectively pricing them out of the market. So, how long will this migration trend continue, and what will be the consequences? When it comes to migration between the United States and Mexico, most Mexicans move to the United States to improve their economic situation. Thousands of legal and illegal American immigrants settled in northern Mexico after Mexico gained independence from Spain in 1821, in search of land, trade, and agricultural opportunities. When Mexico abolished slavery in 1829, a few underground railroad routes ran south into Mexican Texas. It is estimated that between 5,000 and 10,000 slaves escaped into Mexico. Americans outnumbered Mexican Californios in the northern part of Alta, California, which was Mexican territory at the time, by the mid-1840s. Soon after, the California Gold Rush began, and 30,000 people from all over the world descended on the state in search of treasure. The Mexican-American War ended just days after the California Gold Rush began, granting the United States California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, Nevada, and Utah. The U.S. Border Patrol was established until 1924, and millions of Americans have visited, vacationed, and relocated to Mexico since then. As of 2020, 800,000 Americans are living in Mexico. These migrants are classified into three groups: retirees, working professionals, and the majority of the population. Mexican Americans returning to their roots. Of course, there is a parallel migration from the United States. Citizen children who are being returned or returning to Mexico with their parents, many of whom are Mexican citizens, are also being repatriated or deported to Mexico. These U.S. citizens make up roughly 2/3 of the U.S. immigrant population in Mexico, so their future is in their children growing up and integrating into Mexican society. The increasing migration of Americans' citizenship is giving way to increased investment and development, which creates opportunities for more Americans to relocate. One of the most significant drivers of this phenomenon is the rising cost of living. According to a Credit Karma study, California is the second most expensive state in the country to live in. Some were paying $1,600 per month for our one-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood, and that was just for rent. And because some had cars, they had to pay for car insurance, car payments, and all the other things that come with owning a car. So, just the rent. And they're paying half of that. Some relocated in November 2020, so they were still in the thick of COVID-19 and the pandemic before the vaccines. So their monthly rent is around $850, which includes 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a studio for sessions. Going from a one-bedroom apartment where we were literally on top of each other to having separate workspaces has been life-changing, and to do so for half the price was incredible. California real estate is becoming more expensive and competitive. A home in California costs around $800,000 on average. Only 25% of California households could afford that in the fourth quarter of 2021. They offer a more affordable alternative, with higher prices in Baja and many people claim that they have a higher quality of life. There is no traffic, sunny days, and beautiful beaches. Unlike in California, wages in Mexico are low and labor is cheap. The minimum wage in California is $15 per hour, while the majority of Mexico's minimum wage is 172 pesos per day, or about $8. In comparison, 1 hour of work in California is equal to nearly 2 entire workdays in Mexico. We don't want to express how lucky and fortunate we are to be able to earn in dollars and spend in pesos. So some people recognize that as an incredible privilege, and we are extremely grateful to be here and able to do so. Another important factor that many people consider when relocating to Mexico is healthcare. The United States spends far more on healthcare than any other country on the planet. However, according to one study, its overall performance and quality rank last among high-income countries. In terms of dental work in the United States, it was not worth the cost. Whenever someone went to an allergist in Los Angeles and was told they didn't have enough money to get the allergy shots they needed. That's why people in Mexico schedule dental appointments with allergists and dermatologists. People cannot only afford allergy shots here, but my allergist works with a dermatologist who works with our primary care physician. People felt very cared for, and these types were very easy to obtain. Migration trends to Mexico have accelerated since the pandemic. COVID-19 has made remote work the new normal, prompting many people to relocate from large cities to smaller, more affordable ones. The pandemic really changed the dynamic, but because of the cost of taxes in the United States, crime rates, politics, and everything else that people are unhappy with in California, they want to come down to Mexico. People can come to Mexico and buy and live in a condo while gazing out of the sea. The United States-Mexico border in Tijuana. Every day, approximately 200,000 people travel between the two countries. Because of the proximity, many of them work in California and live just below the border in Baja California, 9 miles away. They travel back and forth every day. The time it takes to cross the border varies from a few minutes to several hours. They decide to park their car near the border and walk the rest of the way to avoid the longer wait times during rush hour. People will most likely leave their cars and walk. It is simple to enter Mexico. It's just getting out of Mexico that's difficult, which can take hours. However, people discovered that commuting by foot reduced their commute time by at least 2 hours. Real estate agents in Baja California are also seeing an increase in buyers who do not necessarily want permanent residency in Mexico, or at least half of them are likely to be from California. There are many people from Southern California who have second homes, vacation homes, or rental properties down there. Critics of this migration trend claim that Americans are paying a premium for property in Mexico, pricing locals out of the market. Certain neighborhoods are now becoming too expensive for Mexican citizens to live in, because most people who buy these property developments, or even say an apartment, can do so because they either make money in the US dollars or because they work from home. Working remotely allows those on temporary visas to continue paying taxes to the United States, while avoiding paying any to Mexico. It's extremely important to us to minimize our economic impact wherever we go, and we try to do so by highlighting local groups and services, small businesses, and being extremely mindful of where we spend our money. Some argue that the communities where Americans are relocating are not the same as those where locals live. These are safer, more expensive, and closer to beaches and other tourist attractions. Foreigners or Americans will only live in certain areas, and these areas will be primarily aimed at Americans. While US dollars have played a role in recent developments in Mexico, the rapid expansion has some drawbacks. As demand exceeds supply, supply chain issues are becoming more prevalent. It certainly increases development, but it also makes development less accessible to some of their most critical areas. For example, consider California, where there is a severe housing shortage, which has resulted in significant price increases. Mexico is experiencing a similar problem due to a lack of new construction. And when that construction is focused on unattainable incomes for Mexican citizens, you're in some ways perpetuating the same housing bubble that we're seeing in California, but now also in Mexico. Affordable housing developments are making headway in order to combat the number of low-income Californians leaving the state. California's governor signed a series of bills in September 2021 to supplement the California Comeback Plan, which invests $22 billion in affordable housing and homelessness. The wealthy are also leaving California. Some worry that a mass exodus of the state's billionaires and tech farms will reduce local and state tax revenues. Only 1% of the top earners in California are responsible for half of all income tax revenue. These drops have the potential to have a long-term impact on government services. Recent increases in housing demand in Baja California may cause the country to run out of supply. There are a lot more things being built and developed in order to sell to people. While in an influx of immigrants and rising housing prices in Mexico, there are mixed feelings about the future of current US-Mexico migration trends. However, new businesses are being established. It is causing money to flow into Mexico. It promotes tourism and generates revenue for small businesses. People will still want to come down here more than ever, and I don't want to see prices falling anytime soon. A significant number of people who go do this, try this, return home within 90 days. There are some issues with doing this. As a result, the turnover rate for this is quite rapid. For the time being, Californians are leaving the state and Mexico is welcoming them with open arms. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Have a good one.